Welcome to Wealth Matters Podcast. I'm chatting with Andresa. She was born and raised in Brazil, and she's a developer who specializes in full gut renovation projects, new construction, and is currently focusing on building medium to larger commercial developments. That's amazing. She's also the co-founder of the Real Estate InvestHER community, a platform to empower women to live a financially free and balanced life. And that was the reason I reached out. Because in real estate, I do see a lot of men, but not many women. So I'm very impressed, and I wish a lot more women would participate or get interest in real estate. So I don't think I can do justice to your bio. So would you like to add?
No, I'm just a regular person that never gave up or used my experience to really push forward. I always had this student mentality, and I didn't take any no's for granted. And always find a way to push it through and keep going one step at a time.
That's amazing. So when did you move from Brazil to US?
It was in 2008.
Perfect timing.
Right, but I had no idea though that everything was going on.
I meant by bad timing, right? Because everything's going down, and it happened with me too. So I migrated from India in 2001. 2000 and 2001, there was a big dot-com bubble, right? And I was trying to work in IT, and there was no jobs.
Exactly. So to me, I came to study, and it was funny because my plan was just to, stay 1 year here in an exchange cultural program. And then I ended up applying for my master's degree, got approved. And then I got my visa denied. And then I was like, wait a minute. I have a university saying that they want me there. And here I am. Why are you denying it? It's because I didn't have any ties with Brazil. I didn't have a job there. It was like, I cannot have a job there while I'm here. But all of this back and forth conversation at the embassy was not even something that it's allowed, I guess. Right. But in that communication, I was like, here's the thing though. My goal is to get this master's degree, get the knowledge, come back to my country the next day. That was the truth. And then she did approve it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But, my intention was never to just come to the US, stay here and invest in real estate.
Right.
My background is not in construction, and I always tell people that it doesn't matter what your background is.
Right.
Yeah, your skills. What are your skills? And then transfer that to real estate.
That's a great advice, and that's what I tell people, that I come from a family of service employees, right? So they work in government jobs and all. No one has ever owned a business. No one knew anything about real estate, and of course, you and I can talk now because we understand the visa issues. Not most of the Americans would understand, right? So I have been through all that. And even I wanted to go back, and somehow I survived and stay put. Of course, I call this country my home now. I'm a US citizen, and I'm very proud to be an American Indian, right? But
same. I was not I have my American citizenship, and people was like, oh, you're an American now. Well, I'm a mix of so many different cultures. Brazil is so diverse and everything.
Exactly.
So I'm not like one thing. Right?
So how you got into real estate then?
Well, when I look back, I was not like seeking to understand what real estate was. I didn't even know that existed. So how could I look for it? I was on my last semester on my master's degree. I was doing a door-to-door sales for Verizon, business to business, and it was one of the most difficult jobs I've ever done, but one of the most important jobs that I've ever done, because that built my thick skin and the importance of process in place and building a team. Several skills. I can write a book about that.
That's awesome. So someone told me, I have never done that, But some of my mentors, they told me that the door-to-door salesman is the best job because that's where you learn everything about sales, right? Means you get to
Yep.
develop that thick skin, you learn everything about sales, and also it teaches you how to door knock for real estate.
Exactly. At that time, I was like, this sucks. It sucks balls very much. I
Right,
don't like this because it rains and
right.
then it's sunny, it's too hot, too cold. It's all of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
But after doing that, I can knock on anybody's door. And then in one of the meetings that I was talking to my manager at that time, I said, listen, what book do you recommend for sales? I really want to take my team to the
Hmm.
next level. And he's like, no, I'm not going to give you a sales book. And I was like, I don't understand, because if I make more money, you make more money and the office
Right.
itself make more money, right? So he said, no, I'm going to give you this book here. And he crossed the table, he slide down the purple Bible, is
Yes.
Dad for Dad. And I was like, who is Robert
That's
Kiyosaki?
exactly
No
where it
idea.
starts, right?
Yeah. So, and he said, you're going to read this weekend. Probably you're going to just knock it down. Next week, we'll have a meeting about it. And then that weekend, I was like, hold on a second. This world does exist, and I don't know about it. Like,
Right.
who are those people? What? Like, and then it really changed, and then from that one, like 3-day event and all of that stuff. That's how it got
So
started.
what was your then first real estate deal?
Wow. So I usually say that I paid for mentors right at the beginning because I didn't want to pay for my mistakes. And that's a personal option,
Yeah,
right?
and
You
I
always
paid
know
for my
that.
mistakes. So yeah.
It's all good. That didn't
It's still education.
still education, right? It doesn't mean that I didn't make any more mistakes. I
Right,
made
right.
other mistakes.
Of
I
course.
always say, if you're not making mistakes, you're not getting experience.
Right.
And
And
in
then
real
you are not
estate,
learning actually. Yeah.
right.
That's
So my
so
first
true.
deal was a house that I'm actually closing in a couple of days. I we purchased that house. Was to be a primary house. Overpay a lot for the construction. And now I look back and I was like, oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. But I made a deal with the contractor and I said, hey, listen, I'm gonna be on your shoulder. Just I want to observe everything that you do here. And then after the construction, we pull a HELOC out. I did not know I was able to tell the appraiser, hey, I don't agree to it. I just did it. It's like, listen, this is my report. Yours is a little bit off. Here's mine, because I had learned how to analyze the market and run comps very well. So at that point, he raised his appraisal 25 grand. The appraisal, no, the HELOC amount went up $25,000.
Uh,
So from the total amount was our first HELOC at $68,000. That amount we were able to start investing in other deals and partner up with other people.
that's great. So you mentioned contractors. So how do you find great contractors?
Well, they don't come with guarantees, right? Nobody comes with
No.
guarantees,
And
right?
contractors are the hardest to find. If you really want to do bar deal or new
Mm-hmm.
construction or full rehab, you
Mm-hmm.
got to have, solid contractor. That's
Yeah.
the
I
very
always
first
say
thing.
though that the first thing that you got to look is at what do you want them for? Is it a rental? Is it a full gut rehab? Is it new construction? Because don't try to look for the wrong person and then blame them for not getting the job done. That's number one, right? And I have my personal criteria. It's pretty simple. You got to show up on time, and you got to
Yes.
tell me if you won't be able to. And if you're telling me that you're going to perform something, that's what I expect you to do. If you don't, you got to let me know in advance so we can continue moving. I'm not expecting anything smooth. I haven't done any job that was like, oh, this was smooth from A to Z. That doesn't work like that. But I want like a good approach. Hey, give you a heads up, we were expected to have framing done by Friday. That's not happening, and this is why. And this is what I'm gonna be doing, right? So what I look for, of course, like reference from other people that are using them. But it's rare, right?
Right.
Somebody is gonna say, hey, I'm having such a good time with this contractor.
Right.
I'm gonna share him with you or her
Right.
with you.
That's the hard part. Yep.
It is. It's very hard. But one of the things that I do is I look online and I look at the houses that I'm looking to do very similar projects, and they sold very quick. Probably they sold very quick because the workmanship was on point.
Oh,
So
I
I
see.
look, when I go to a house or an open house, what I'm looking at is like the caulking, the HVAC, how what they care, do they care about the designs, the trim, all of this, the tile. Go to the bathroom and check the tile. You know, the
Right.
tile tells a lot about
Yes.
how, things are done. And then I look who did the job. It's pretty simple. I go online and I check who did the job, who did the electrical, plumbing, HVAC. Because if you find one rock star, let's say a painter that you really like,
Right.
he knows who is the best drywall guy.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
one thing linking to another. And then the next thing that I do, I meet them at their job site, not mine. I want to see how they
Ah,
run their project. If they
that's a great
arrive,
advice, everyone. Listen to this. That's a great
right?
advice. So
Because
meet
think
them at the
about it.
site. Yes.
Yeah, think about it when you go to their job site, right? And I want to go in the middle of the day. I don't want to go
Right.
lunchtime.
No, no,
I want
yeah.
to see people working, right? How are they working? I like
Yes.
music. That's totally fine. I don't have any
Yes. Yeah.
problem. I don't like food around. Food,
Yes.
like, oh, trash.
Are they organized? Right. I think that's the
Right,
key, right? If they are
right.
throwing things around, yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
if I
It
am
makes,
there at 10 a.m. and there's nobody there, you
oh,
bet I'm going to ask a
that's a
question.
problem.
Where is everybody? Right? And I want to know how long you get started with this project, because based on what I see here, I already have the answer in my head, more or less, how long he is there. But I want to know if like he's quick or he's taking, oh, it's been 2 years. Oh
Right.
God.
Wow.
Right? And
Wow.
all
So
those
most
questions are
probably
very
then
important.
he's taking on way more projects than he should be, right? A lot of time that's
Absolutely.
what they
And
do.
it's very important to know how many projects do you have on your pipeline now, because you might not need them now. You might need them 2 months from now because
Right.
your architect drawings or engineer approvals, whatever that might be. So you want to know when they will be available, if that matches your schedule. That's very important. Another thing is, do you have your own crew or you sub it out? I don't care either
Yes.
way. I just want to make sure that they have the bandwidth to do my project
Right.
with the other projects that they have going on, and how big they are, which stage the other projects are. That's pretty much it.
So you mentioned one thing that you would go to open house, and if you like, let's say HVAC, electrical, etc.,
Mhm.
then you go online. How do you go online? Means, are there any sites, or how do you find them? Let's say, I like the electrical the way it was done, or the
Mhm.
plumbing, and how do I go online and try to figure out
Sure.
who did this?
So I am in Philadelphia, right? So on our city website, we have a space where you can look for the property address and then find what permits were pulled. So
Oh, yes.
that's how I get it. Another way of doing this, if I go to a construction site and I really like what I'm seeing, over here, I'm not sure in California how it is, but over
Right.
here, they need to post the permit on the
Yes,
outside, on the
correct.
window.
Right.
So I look who did that. And if it
Right.
is bad, I also look because I
Yeah.
don't want to work with that
No, yeah,
person.
exactly, right? That's a great idea. Again, everyone, listen to this. This is, these are some time value bombs right here.
Yeah, and from there, I want people that are familiar with working with each other. The three main trades that I would say, those are like they need to like each other.
Yes,
It's
yeah.
electrical, HVAC, and plumbing. If
Yep.
they don't like with each other, or they have some problem that you're not able to resolve, they're gonna start like, okay, in order to get my ductwork this way, I need to cut this,
yes,
packs
yeah,
pipe here. And I've seen it all. I'm telling you, like crazy things. I was like, you're serious? You did that? Well, right? It's like, come on. Right. So you want them to talk because it's a dance between all three of them. Right. I don't want an awkward ductwork in a place that was like, oh, this is hideous here. So many cuts and things like that. And if you don't do that while the walls are open or while you're building it, when you drywall and then you're like, oh my gosh, that looks so bad.
Yes, absolutely. It's not only you are building the team, but you also need to find that they can work together as a team, right? That's so important. So do you write your own contract with the contractors, and what are the most important things you put in those contracts?
No, I don't. I'm not an attorney. I cannot write contracts. So what I had is my real estate attorney draft the contract with me, and I attached important documents there. So the documents that I attached to my contract, and that goes, you're gonna have different clauses and different terms depending on where you are in the country. But I attach my scope of work because I don't want to have any doubts about what we were talking about. So I attach my scope of work, my finishes list, my payment plan, and a schedule and waivers. So every time that I make a payment, it's like an exchange. I give you the check or the wire, and I need to receive a waiver for that specific amount and job description. Back and forth. And then at the end, when I make you the final payment, I want a full and final waiver.
Okay. So they can't place any lien or anything, right?
That's
even
correct.
The subs. Yeah.
That's how I learned that.
It's important. So this is great. And you mentioned master's degree were you in finance or sales? Or
no, mine was in business communication. So I have a bachelor in journalism, MBA in Brazil, a master in business administration, and this one was a professional business communication through LaSalle University.
Got it. So I have an engineering degree from India and a master's in computer science from here. And I just want to remind listeners that, as you can tell, a journalism major, business communication, or a computer engineer, we had nothing to do with construction or real estate, but we learned along the way. So my question to you, how did you figure out all that? As you mentioned, how did you figure out, this caulking looks good or not, this tiles look good or not when you go for open house? What did you have to do? Did you learn from your mentors or just trial and error?
Well, I think it's a combination of things, right? If I look back at my first project, I can see things that I did not see before. So my eyes were not trained to see it before. Right, at all.
Exactly.
And now I can go to a house and really see a lot of things, right? And point it out certain things and very quickly. But I think it comes with experience. And at that time, I partner up with people that had more experience than me for a less equity on the deal. That's for sure, because I was gaining experience. And I will go with them in every single walkthrough, because I needed to be like here on their shoulders. So where their eyes were, my eyes were too. See that? See over here? A punch list, for example, inspection report. I want to see it all because I wanted to understand. Listen, I cannot get a hammer and demo a house. I am not handy at all. I wish I were, but I am not. Okay. So knowing construction, it doesn't mean that it is a job for you to do. If that's what you want to do, perfect. Right. But in order for me to tell them what are my standards, I really need to understand how it goes. But I think that there's a lot of pressure on getting to know it all on your first deal. And I learn on every single deal. A weird situation comes up, right? It happens. It
Yep.
happens. And you learn as you go. The most
Yeah,
important thing is
absolutely.
the awareness, to be aware of it and
Right.
update your scope of work
Right.
as you go. It's a journey.
Yep. So, and we did talk about finding the right team. So, can you share some points on how to find the right team or build the right team?
Mm-hmm. So it always starts with you. You
Yeah.
gotta know yourself a lot. And I mean it. I'm not like,
Yes.
oh,
Great point.
I am, this is what I'm good at. No, I want to know
Yeah.
what you suck at, but you
Right.
gotta own it. You gotta really own it.
Yeah.
Are the parts that I really suck at, really don't like it, not my strengths. So you look at your background, right? You're an engineer, I'm a journalist. What are we good at? What are the parts
Right.
that we're not good at? And from that, if you haven't done yet, a good personality test is essential. I have done so many, Kobe, and then you have the CD, you have so many personality test that you can do, strength finder, because you got to know that from that part you're gonna look for a team that complement that, and those are your
Yes.
partners, right? They're gonna complement you.
Right.
When I look at my team right now, wow, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so smart. You're so smart at this, right? And then it also allowed me to really like delegate and step
Yes.
out. I don't need, at the beginning of every single company, I guess, we wear different hats. But as we
Yes.
grow, we really need to step out. The key when building a team is that you're not going to be able to step out of your position if you don't create standard operating
Oh,
procedures.
yes, of course.
That is no doubt about it. So you got to be very clear with that. So there are like very clear expectations to your team members. Otherwise, you're setting them up to a failure.
Got it. Yeah, and because I recently hired a virtual assistant, so I'm learning all this as well. That okay, I need to have as operating procedure, etc. I had to make sure that this is what I want her to do exactly using these steps, right? Because
Absolutely.
even though I like some of the activities, but they were just waste of my time, right? So just divide by what you could be else could you be doing right in the business, and just start delegating the tasks. So of
Yeah.
course finding the right team. So how do you then determine, let's say you bought a property which needs to be rehabbed, full gut rehab, how do you determine scope of work?
Well, at the beginning, what I did, I was like, I don't know how to build a freaking scope of work. So how the hell am I going to do this?
Right.
Right. So I look at the estimates from general contractors. I
Okay.
look at things of, for example, you can go to your bathroom right now and start making a list of
Yes.
what it needs to be done there. Tile, floor, wall, tub, faucet, toilet. It'll start creating that list, right? And how you want to be done. How do you want the tile? Do you want brick style? You want stackable?
Right.
How thick is the in between the tile? How thick you want it to be? You can determine that. Another tip is for when you're doing inspection, right? Inspection reports. Those are great. You can
Yes.
use a lot of stuff over there. But what I usually do is to create like a skeleton exterior, right? That's the number one thing. And then you start looking at it and start describing what it is.
Yeah.
Window.
Yeah.
Does that window needs to be removed, repaired, or it's good?
Right.
So you start describing it as you go. Describe what it is, and you improve on your first project, second project, third project. You are going to be improving as you go. And I think that my general contractors, they always say, same color, same paint,
Yes. Oh,
same color. Yep,
that's the
yep.
easiest way to
Yes,
do
you got it,
this. Yeah.
right? Because I want to make sure it's clear for them. And
Yeah.
if the folks that are doing the tile are from another country, please make sure you guys print it out exactly how you will look like, because
Mm.
they are going to do the bad a good job if the communication comes across
Right.
the way that they understand. right? What do you need to do? Do you need to show it to them? Do you need to
Yes.
write, paint, whatever that might be, translate? It's
Mm.
all good. The most important thing is that they get the communication. And if they get it wrong, guess what? It's your fault,
Yes,
not theirs.
yes, absolutely. So, let's say you had picked a bird deal and you finished all the work,
Yeah.
but the appraisal comes way lower than you anticipated or expected. Do you challenge appraisals? And if you do, how do you do that?
No, I say thank you so much. No, I think we all, when we're buying the deal, I am already analyzing how much I want to go. If I were to sell it today, how much that will be,
Okay.
right? And if I get appreciation, that's cherry on top. I
Okay.
don't expect that. So when I run the comps as appraisers. However, let's say we have Philadelphia, we're very dense.
Mm-hmm.
If an appraiser from another county comes here and he's not familiar with
Right.
Philadelphia,
That's the
it's
same issue
just,
everywhere. Yeah.
yeah, but it's easier for me to deal with that person
Oh, really?
because
Okay.
he does not understand that, okay, you see this street over here, this is one zip code. That street over there, completely different.
Right.
Across that street is a completely different neighborhood and different things. So what I do, always respectfully to those professionals and everything, when they come here, I walk through with them, answer any questions. Then it's not my job to sell the property to them at all. I will answer any questions they might have. And I do send them an email about the scope of work that was done and the type of finishes,
Okay.
any other information, rent. If it is a multifamily, I send all
Right.
the information that they need. And I do ask them, I did run some comps. Would you like to see them? They
No,
always say,
okay.
sure, why not?
Yeah.
Right? And I'm
Right.
not manipulating anything. I am an expert on my market, and sometimes they
Right.
are not. So here it is. And then I look at their work to see if I can find any mistakes. And I have found before, because sometimes they don't take either enough pictures or
Uh-huh.
notes, and they do make a mistake. I have one appraisal for my first deal. He missed one bedroom entire,
Oh, wow.
right?
That's
Yeah,
huge.
so it is a big deal.
Yeah.
And if I did not get that report and went over every single page to really like I dissect everything, and it's worth my time to do that.
Got it.
Yeah.
No, that's great. So my one more question I have now that, of course, all of us are shelter in at home, right? Shelter in place. So
Yeah.
what do you see the impact of coronavirus to real estate, and how would you prepare for it?
Right. I don't think anybody could have prepared.
No.
Right. And we don't know yet. If somebody tells you, let me tell you what's going to happen, nobody
No,
tells, because we
yeah.
don't know how long it will take. Right
Right,
now,
right.
the lenders are changing, and
Oh,
us as
yes.
landlords, we are changing, investments are changing. So it's
A
going to be a
lot of
different
change.
world, that I'm very curious about that. From my perspective, with all the respect to all the folks and families that are going through difficult times, I do believe that they will have a lot of problems. And if we are set up to resolve the problems, I think that there will be a lot of opportunities after this.
That's perfect. Thank you so much. I enjoyed this chatting with you. So how can my listeners reach out to you?
Sure. So they can go to the Real Estate InvestHER, HER.com, or can find the Real Estate Investor on Instagram as well. We have a podcast, the Real Estate Investor Show, that you can find everywhere that you want. And we also have meetups around the country. Right now, the meetups are suspended as of April
Course.
10th, but we are doing virtual meetups around the country. So we have about 27 leaders that are running those meetups. So check it out.
That's awesome. Thanks again. And I thoroughly appreciate your time.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure. Thank you.